What's up guys, it's that Panda Guy and I'm here again with another video, and today we're going to be looking at the Genesis War introduction video. I wanted to talk about a few things because I actually had already done a video where I was predicting how the progression would work, and I actually got it spot on, and I'll talk about it as I go through this video and kind of quote-unquote react to it. Hopefully nobody cares. I don't think this is a bad video idea. I thought this was kind of a cool thing we could kind of just do, and we could check it out together. More likely of a chance that you've already seen this than not, but we could talk about it as we go through. But yeah, I did think one thing though. I thought this would actually be really cool because they end up mentioning 3 different maps, and I was thinking if they do, because I'm 99% sure they plan to do another championship thing. If they do another championship thing, it would be really cool if they actually had 4 groups, right? And they maybe did these maps, right? Or even if it's just 2 groups, if they did these maps and maybe they made it a fast-paced version somehow, because I don't think doing Pompeii every single time would be, the most interesting. I don't mind Pompeii again, but it's like, wouldn't it be really interesting if they kind of took inspiration from this map, for example, and I'll show you guys the map when we get there. But let's kind of do this real quick. I'm going to start the video and I'm going to mute in and out as I talk about things.
128 alliances, 5 days, 3 maps. Winners advance and the defeated have a rematch until one alliance rises above all others and reaches the top.
Alright, so I will be pausing a lot, but it does say people who are defeated have a rematch. For anybody who's interested, from everything that I understand, how it works is if you have 5 zones, for example, and you start in the 5th zone, the 128 alliances will be split into 4 groups, right? Not 4 groups, sorry, but they're groups of 4. So 4 alliances will fight it out in all those 128 alliances. So basically in that circle, right? And 2 said alliances will progress to the next zone, and 2 of them will lose. So if half the alliances lose the first time, those 64 alliances will just battle it out with each other again, and then whoever wins there ends up moving to the next zone, and then the people who were in the next zone end up moving to the next one, etc., etc. So it's really the best of the best who gets to the final zone and battles that out there. But that's really interesting how that works, and let's kind of hop right back into this.
That is the new gameplay mode, Genesis War. Welcome to Doomsday Last Survivors, Commanders. Today, we will explore how to establish your presence and stay at the top in this battle among alliances. Secure your victory right now. Genesis War consists of 3 phases: registration, matchmaking, and battle. Alliances have 1 day to register for the event, after which they will be ranked according to their alliance mark.
One thing I noticed here, by the way, I noticed there's a check mark here. I don't know if that's just a visual mistake, but normally the only event they allow checking of players is Pompeii. So I don't know if, and even here, right? So I don't know if you can actually audibly or you can choose who is selected for the actual event. I don't really imagine that's going to be the case, but I guess we'll kind of have to see how that works too.
The top 256 participating alliances will enter the Apex War Zone. While participating
some people were confused about this. It does say 256. Just so you guys know, this is split into 2 battlefields supposedly. So you're going to have 2 battlefields worth of 128 alliances. So it's not 256 on 1 battlefield.
Alliances that rank 257 to 2000 will enter the Fearless War Zone. The Apex War Zone offers greater rewards. Each war zone will be further divided into multiple battlefields, with 4 alliances to duke it out in each battlefield.
So it's going to say it lasts for 5 days. It says 4 alliances duke it out, but what I'm wondering is, because from how it sounded, you're not allowed to team up or whatever, or you can't see the map before it actually comes in. So I guess it's going to start, and you just hop right in there, and then you see who your enemies are. I wonder if there's going to be a lot of negotiations even then, right? Because there should be like a shield on this, like how long before you can actually take the ring around the middle, right? But I'm wondering if there's going to be negotiations between the alliances to potentially work out who's going to go into the next zone together, because it's going to show it in a minute, but I wasn't sure if these alliances would pair back up to in the next zone, or not pair back up in the next zone, but like if green and blue both won in the first round, right, do they end up going into the next round together, or is it going to be random if you get them again in your team? And if that's the case, that means the other team that you're fighting, or the other group that you're fighting, because realistically, there's no actual teams with this, but the other group that you'd end up fighting, or the other two alliances, they potentially would have already maybe negotiated or talked about working together to potentially take on the other enemies. Because if the other group that you're fighting has already worked together, then you're going to be kind of going in at a disadvantage by not communicating with your enemies and or the other alliance there. Also, sorry if my dog's growling over here.
Days last for 5 days, with each day's battle being independent from one another. There will be a new round of matchmaking at the end of each day.
So there are 5 zones. It says a new round of matchmaking each day. That just indicates that you're going to fight once every day, and that means at reset, it's probably going to reset, throw you into a new map that you're instantly going to have to jump into, which is interesting.
You will only encounter opponents from the same war zone. Your only goal is to defeat them and earn more points. This sums up the process of Genesis War. You must be excited to jump into battle by now. So here's more about combat in Genesis War. Alliances in the same war zone will start in the outermost ring. There are a total of 5 rings, and alliances will compete against each other in groups of 4. The top 2 alliances with the most points in each group will advance to the next.
Just to clarify, it says the most points. That means, from what I understand, are capture points. So the more you, I guess, the longer you capture stuff, the more points you get on those. So it's really a competition to kind of capture these structures, because I think it shows the map in a minute, like in a little overview, and I'll show it right here, and I'll talk about that when it gets there.
Next ring, while the remaining alliances will stay in their current ring. Subsequently, alliances from the same ring will continue to compete against each other in groups of 4. Your task is to defeat the enemy, advance to the center ring, and claim victory. This round of Genesis War will feature 3 maps: Hub Battle, Twin Residence, and Tactical Strike.
I am wondering what the difference is going to be between the maps. Like, is there some sort of difference, or are they just built differently, you know? I'm going to let it zoom in real quick and then talk about it. So I wanted to just talk about this real quick because this looks really cool, and they mentioned, and they're going to mention how there are going to be like core towers, which I think these right here are all core towers which are surrounding this thing, and probably up until here are going to be like the inner towers that you can, I guess, connect to. And I don't understand how many, like, or is this like a tower that you're allowed to capture, and you're not able to capture these towers until actual stuff opens? Because I don't understand how this works, but this is really interesting, and there's a shield on these things. So the question is, are you able to fight it out before the actual shield drops? And if that's the case, that's going to be really interesting, and I'm really interested to see how that pans out, because one thing I've actually noticed with a lot of brackets is, you know, obviously a lot of these fights, you try to spread your enemy into a lot of towers to, you know, chip them down and catch them with worse garrison captains. But from here, it looks like there's a maximum of 2 or 3 towers, so you're only going to be able to potentially connect to 2 or 3 towers that your enemy has, right? Unless you're working with another group to kind of pressure them from another side. But that does mean that there's I feel like more garrison options for them, and they don't have to spread themselves as thin when it comes down to a defensive game. And I actually like this, and I think it'll make it more intense and kind of harder to push enemies back. So this will make the fights kind of more interesting to me, instead of being able to just spread them into 20 towers and then, you know, catch them lacking. I mean, I think that'll also make it harder in whale fights, because what you see a lot is, you know, they'll hold strong. For example, I've seen like Safe Me, they'll hold strong in like Safe Me's tower, but when they start spreading into a lot of different towers and sieging them and stuff, they can't really hold all these different towers, and they have to keep backing up and having Safe Me, you know, garrison or something, which, you know, just doesn't really pan out really well.
Territorial expansion gameplay. You will not be able to construct watchtowers on the battlefield, and can only expand your territory.
So this is really interesting, and I wanted to touch on this. It's like a 5 or 10 second timer or something, right? And that is insane. I actually assumed that it'd be maybe a few minutes, but they're giving you seconds on repairs. This would be really cool if you see a lot of whales kind of push up, and they just already are getting in position on the next tower to swarm it really quickly, get the capture, swarm the next one, get the capture, get the next one, get the next one. And I'm wondering if you do this fast enough, will you be able to take up spots on mid and just like completely cut an enemy off from like actually getting into mid, or is there something that's going to restrict you from doing that too fast when you get to the core towers? I'm not really sure, and I guess we'll really have to see about how all of this kind of works.
By repairing watchtowers on the map, defeat zombies in the watchtower to automatically start repairing it. Repair watchtowers and expand towards the center as soon as possible, and capture the science hub and defense stations to earn research points for victory. There's also something interesting about
I do want to say the science hub is obviously going to be that middle building, and the defense hubs are, I guess, the four and the around it. It does mention, it did mention that I guess you would. It would deal damage to the science hub periodically with those defense stations when under attack. If you're attacking it and you have a defense station. So I am interested in how that works, and this is really interesting. And I do like how there's such a big area in the mid, so there's gonna in the middle area, so there's gonna be so many field fights, and you have to consistently make sure you're controlling the field and helping players get the reinforcements in there, because if you're too focused fighting over the actual science hub itself, people are just gonna cut off reinforcements, etc., etc. And it's so exciting. Like, I'm so excited for this. And I know it mentioned somewhere about if you don't have both of these science hubs, so I don't know if that's one of the maps specifically, right, that you're gonna have multiple science hubs on, because it did say, like, if you didn't have one science hub and someone else had a science hub, one team had a science hub and you didn't have the other science hub, right, it would periodically damage you if you were sitting in the science hub, right, and damage the troops until everything was killed. So I am interested in if there's gonna be multiple science hubs on a specific map, or if I'm just not seeing it on this map and I'm confused.
the map. Special watchtowers near the science hub will only be open for battle at specific times. While they are open, you can also attack adjoining territory.
Yeah, so I'm kind of confused, because in this picture, right, this is one thing I'm confused about, is in this picture that they had, it showed a 5-hour timer, right, and people were already connected here, and it says it's only open at specific times, right, and I don't know if, like, maybe it'll be closed for like the first few hours of the shield or something, and this gives the time for everybody to kind of get connected at least this tower and get ready for a push-up mid on the core towers. I'm not really sure how that works, and I know I'm kind of talking about useless stuff, but I do think they're good questions to kind of ask and bring up.
Will only be open for battle at specific times. While they are open, you can also attack adjoining territories of other alliances. Every map is different and require different strategies. There will also be super weapons that bring powerful buff effects. Explore and find out for yourself.
I did want to mention that I don't think these Imperial weapons and these super weapons are the same as the skills that they mentioned, because they mentioned alliance skills and stuff that people will be able to use. I don't think they're the same at all. So I'm worried. I'm wondering if these are just like stat buffs or something. I don't exactly know how that works. It does say that each map is going to have different strategies, which I'm definitely wondering about, because I was looking at this and I was looking at the different maps, and they don't look very inherently different. Like, you see this? Like, it doesn't look that different. Maybe okay. So there are two science hubs here on Twin Resonance or whatever it's called. So maybe that's what they were talking about, like the science hubs doing damage, periodically, and that means that you are gonna have to change up your strategy. And I'm kind of interested to see how these tower fights kind of work right here, and that's gonna be so cool. But yeah, here we'll go back over here.
Explore and find out for yourself. I hope this gives you a basic understanding of Genesis War. Now,
you do see the super weapons drop here, by the way, so make sure you're grabbing those when those defense stations drop them. Also, I want to make sure I say this just again, because some people might end up getting caught. Make sure that you are either shielded or checking yourself when you're going offline, because I know it mentioned that there's going to be some points where they'll end up, I think, resetting the battlefield or something, so towers will end up going on fire just automatically, and you'll have that time to port out, and if you don't port out, I guess you could get zeroed potentially. One thing I am interested in is what if you just random teleport around? Will you be able to snatch the teleportation spots on a certain side of the map that your enemy has? And if that's the case, that's an insane advantage, right? Because if it's Boone versus H&B, for example, and H&B is on the left side of the map, Boone's on the right side or in this corner, and H&B's up here. I wonder if H&B just, what if they got random ports over here and just start sniping reinforcement marches or marches that are kind of coming in to help field fight or whatever the case. That'll be kind of rigged, if you kind of ask me. I mean, it'll add something to the fight, but I think that's gonna be kind of scuffed, if that is allowed.
Gather your alliance members and fight for glory. The alliance that climbs to the top will win the magnificent Lion of Glory. Are you ready to embrace the
Alright, and that is about it to the video. I am interested in what you guys think. I am actually excited for this personally. I am extremely excited. This makes me super just hype, something new to the game. And honestly, based off everything that I've seen, it is well done, right? It might not end up being well done in general, right? And we won't know that until we actually see it. But so far, it looks extremely interesting. It looks like they've kind of tried their best to make this as good as possible. And I don't know, man. I am hoping for the best. I'm hoping this is a good event, and I'm just hoping everything turns out reaches most of my expectations. So I will be looking forward to it. And that is about it to the video. You guys let me know if you guys enjoyed this, if you enjoyed the little reaction parts, just me kind of going along with the video. I don't know if that was something you guys enjoyed or found interesting. But yeah, I do appreciate you guys though for watching as always. I hope you guys did enjoy the video, and I will see you guys in the next one. And that is about it. Peace out.